Hi and welcome to the video. This video is going to be looking at the installation of a Windows 10 operating system onto either a new device, or perhaps you're reinstalling Windows onto an existing machine that needs to be reloaded for whatever reason. In this particular instance, we're going to be using a virtual machine. However, the process is identical if you're using a physical machine. Previous video looked at downloading the Windows 10 Media Creation Tool. So the assumption here is that you have downloaded and run through that part of the process, and you've got your USB memory drive available on your new machine. As I say, in this particular case, it'll be using virtual for the purpose of the demonstration, but the process is the exact same with a physical machine as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and power on the machine. When you power the machine on, you should be given the option to boot from the bootable USB device. If you aren't, then there will be a case of finding the boot menu, and depending on your machine manufacturer or motherboard manufacturer, there'll be a function key or a escape or the delete key to bring that up. In this case though, we're going to power on, and as I say, our boot options are set to automatically boot from the device. So when that comes up, we're going to press the any key on our keyboard to start the installation. And at the first prompts we have here, the Windows setup, we have a language to install, which we're going to leave as English United Kingdom. Time and currency, again English United Kingdom, and keyboard or input method, once again United Kingdom. Obviously adjust this to your preferences and or your setup, and then once that's done, we're going to click the next button. A couple of options on the next screen. We can go straight to the install now. It's worth noting that if you are in the event of repairing or attempting a repair on your machine, there is a repair your computer option also. This video is just the installation though, so we're going to go ahead and click install now. Next screen, we're going to be prompted for our activate Windows or our Windows key. Depending on your device, once again, if it's a pre-built machine, such as a HP or a Asus or a Dell machine perhaps, if you purchased it with a operating system already included, this key will be embedded in the BIOS or the UEFI and will automatically pass through this stage. If on the other hand you have a custom machine and you've purchased your Windows 10 license, you can go ahead and type your product key into the provided space just here. Alternatively, if it's just for testing or demo purposes, you can select the option of I don't have a product key, and this will allow you to activate the trial version, and then you can also activate that later on if you choose to. So for the purpose of this, we're going to click on the I don't have a product key option, and that will take us to a operating system selection. So there's a few various flavors of Windows 10. The first one here is Windows 10 Home. Obviously, we're going to assume that this is for a business case environment, so we're going to go ahead and select Windows 10 Professional. There's also the Windows 10 Pro N version. There's certain situations or places you may wish to use this, but again, for the purpose of the tutorial, Windows 10 Pro. The process from here on in is identical, regardless of which version you choose. But as I say, this is the 64-bit architecture, and we're going to go ahead and click Next. Next up is the license agreement, so we're obviously going to agree to this by clicking the I accept the license terms and then clicking on the Next. A couple more options to go through here. We can go ahead and upgrade the existing installation, or we can look at a custom installation for the operating system. Typically, if it's a brand new build, you're going to want to go for the Windows install only. If on the other hand you have a previous machine such as Windows 8 or 8.1, similar, etc., you might want to go for the upgrade. But again, we're going to assume this is a brand new build and we're just installing the operating system for the first time. So we're going to go ahead and click on Custom Install Windows Only, and it's going to bring up the option for the drives. Depending on your machine configuration, you might have more than one physical drive within the machine. In this particular instance, we only have the one, so we're going to go ahead and click Next. If you do have others listed, it's a case of just choosing the correct drive. If you've got multiple drives in there, as I say, typically drive 0, the first one will be the first one that's picked up. You might have different sizes because of SSDs and storage. Choose the relevant one, and then, as I say, click on the next button. At this point now, it's going to start the actual installation process. So it's going to copy the required files from the USB media, and it's going to copy that to the hard drive and start the installation process of Windows. This will take a varying amount of time depending on the machine that you're running, specifications, speed, etc. So we're going to let this run through. We're going to pause the video and come back to it nearer completion. Okay, so we're getting near the completion now of the getting things ready. What's going to happen at this point here is going to breeze through the next couple of points fairly quickly, and then it's going to perform a couple of reboots whilst also configuring a couple of options in the background. So it's going to come up with the need to restart. You can either click restart now or wait for that to do it itself. We're just going to go ahead and click restart now. As I say, it's going to reboot the machine. At this point here, if you have your boot device set as a priority for the USB memory module, then you're going to want to go ahead and take that out so it doesn't try to boot from that anymore. Alternatively, just don't press any keys when it's booting, obviously. But at this point now, the operating system is baseline installed, and it's going to go ahead and configure the devices that it can see attached to the device. Typically, this will be things for the drivers and whatnot, such as USB mice, keyboards, if you've got a particular screen attached to it, any other peripherals such as printers, etc. It may not necessarily be able to pull all the drivers down, but again, it will make a first attempt at it. Once it's done this initial part, there will be another reboot, and then it'll be ready for the customizations. So we'll just wait for that to load up. Okay, so after that second reboot, we've now got the basics parts come up from the Windows 10 installation, and we're going to go ahead and just customize this to our region and personal preferences. So let's start with region. United Kingdom, yep, that's all correct, so we're going to click yes on that to proceed. And the keyboard layout, once again, yep, we're going to stick to United Kingdom. Again, if yours is different, obviously select the correct layout. Next is, do we wish to add a second keyboard layout? Not in this particular instance, so we're going to click on skip. And now it's going to come up with asking to connect to a network. Now there's an important point to realise here. If this is a home device and you're using it at home, it may be beneficial that you want to create the online account and link it to it. There's various reasons you'd want to do this or not want to do this. In a business environment, it's very unlikely you're going to need to create the online account linked to it, as you're going to be logging onto an Active Directory or domain controlled network. So in this particular instance, I've disconnected the network from this machine, and if you don't have it connected, you can just go ahead and click I don't have internet. Alternatively, in the lower left corner, there'll also be an option that says create a local account. Both achieve the same thing. So we're going to continue here with the limited setup. Again, if you're online and you've clicked local account, there'll be a confirmation to continue with limited setup where you don't get the full online features. And for business environments, this is absolutely fine. So we're going to be asked who's using this PC. So this will be the username displayed when you first log in. So in this particular account, we're just going to go ahead and call this local user. Nothing too particular or fancy. And then we're going to click on next. It's going to ask us to create a password, so we're just going to go ahead and type that in now, and then click next, and then confirm the password. So we're just going to confirm that once more and click next. Because this is a local account, it's going to ask some security questions, which is absolutely fine. These won't be so relevant once the machine is domain joined, but again, if you are creating an online account and it asks you for these details, obviously use details that are relevant so that you can access the account should you forget the password. Once you've selected your question and typed in your answer, just go ahead and click next. There'll be 3 of these in total. Okay, and once they're completed, it's going to run through and ask us for the services. Once again, personal preferences, but in this particular instance and for this example, we're not going to use any of the additional features. So we're just going to go ahead and say, don't use any of these options, and then click on accept. Once again, there's a few of these, such as location. I'm going to click no, next. Find my device, no, accept. Diagnostics, again, personal preference, we're going to say send the minimum required and accept that also. Inking and typing, once again, no for that, accept. And tailored experiences, no, accept. Advertisements, won't change it, but we'll click no on that one. And then we're going to run through. Continue is going to ask if we want to get anything done with that. Again, at this point in time, we're going to select not now, because this will be a business use environment. There's not really much need for this in the immediate setup. Once those options are selected, this will now create the local user profile and will load us up to the desktop, to which we can then see the Windows 10 desktop for the first time. As the screen suggests, this could take several minutes, depending on the speed and the power of the machine. It could take a couple of moments or a little bit longer. Once it has done though, it will load to the desktop. We're just going to pause the video now, and then as soon as that's up, we'll show the next part of the video. Okay, and now we've got to the desktop. So this is effectively the baseline installation of Windows 10, in this case Windows 10 Professional. And at this point the machine is at a basic install. There's a few things to bear in mind at this point though. Although the operating system is installed, there's going to be a few other things we need to do. First of all, there will be the drivers for the machine to make sure we get full functionality out of the hardware. Windows updates in case there's any additional security updates and patches that we need. And we may want to go ahead and check the firmware of the physical hardware if we're running it on hardware to make sure that's updated also, to make sure we get maximum performance. This particular video was just for the installation process. There'll be another video up next which goes into drivers, patching, updates and firmware, and we'll go into those details more in detail.